is there an alternate universe where going to this World Cup, you would be partnering with Alex Morgan up front?
Oh, absolutely. And I think, Vlatko knows that he can put me anywhere and I'll, put in a good shift. But he's like, we just don't need you to score goals. We need you to stop goals. And so, he put me back at center back.
Joining me today, one of the greatest footballing leaders this nation has ever produced. And between the two of us, we have won 2 World Cup titles, 1 Olympic gold medal, and 3 NWSL championships. As inspirational off the field as she is on it, think Gloria Steinem and Carla Overbeck rolled into one. The best St. Louis and export since Ferrotto's Toasted Ravs, from your US women's national team and mighty Portland Thorns, to People's Captain, Becky Sauerbrunn.
I feel like whenever you can put toasted ravioli into an introduction for somebody, it's been a success. So well done, Raj.
Becky, we sit here 65 days away from the US Women's National Team's first World Cup 2026 game against Vietnam. And can we get a temperature check? How would you describe the emotional state you are in this far out from the beginning of the journey?
It feels a little strange because we don't have a camp before this roster gets named, and we haven't had a camp for a few weeks. And so we're very much with our professional teams, training hard, playing all these matches with the thought in the back of your mind, like, you have a World Cup coming up. Like, you every single day are being evaluated and watched. And it's so strange that you're not getting to do that in a training camp with the national team.
Do you feel the time running out? It actually feels close.
It feels so close when you think about the fact that we only have a send-off match before that first game. I'm a little injured right now, which is unfortunate. And so like having that also be something that is consuming my mind.
Nothing major, I believe.
Nothing major.
Everyone calm down. But tell us how you're doing. And does having even a small niggle so close, does it impact you mentally? You're constantly touching your foot, gauging, does it hurt? Does it hurt?
If I were to deal with this in 5 weeks from now, I think I would be a lot more anxious and worried. I feel pretty good, which for me is saying something, because usually I'm like, I'm going to have to amputate my foot. Like, this is doomsday. This is terrible.
I mean, off the pitch, is there anything that you're doing differently now? Like adding a meditation practice, changing your nutritional plan, daily visits to the cat cafe to ease tension?
Well, Tears of the Kingdom, the new Zelda game, just came out. So I am playing that as kind of my escapist. Yeah, make my heart and soul feel full.
God bless you, Zelda people, for what you're doing for our national football progress. And I want to talk now about leadership. I read an interview recently where you talked about how one of the legacies you want to leave is being seen as a player's player. What does that mean to you?
That I am someone that players can go to if they need anything, if they need to ask any question that they know if I don't know the answer, I will find the person that has the answer for them. So just someone that they can lean on. That's what I think at the heart of it is a player's player.
Are you actively seeking to support the rest of your teammates, especially the younger ones in between games?
I like to reach out, and after watching a game, if I see someone do something that I know they've been asked to do, either through the technical staff or even through their professional staffs, if I see them do something, I point it out to them. I'm just like, hey, Sanchez, like, what a great run, what a great shot. Trinity, you played amazing today. Like, just making sure that they know that I really care that they're doing well and they're showing well.
When I next use toasted ravs in an introduction, I want that text. Great use of toasted ravs, Rog. We all need that Becky Sauerbrunn validation. But we do need to touch upon the elephant in the room almost. You, Becky Sauerbrunn, are a diehard Arsenal fan.
Mm-hmm.
As a footballer and also as a fan, how have you experienced this Arsenal season?
It was just such pride, and the way that we were playing and the goals we were scoring and the way we're defending and how they just looked so solid and so mature for being like pretty young squad. And then to have it just crumble when it matters most is just so heartbreaking and just so Arsenal-y that it is like, it does like really tear my heart up, because I mean, Man City just, they look unstoppable. And that game, Arsenal-Man City, the 4-1 loss, you just knew we weren't the better team. It's crushing. But I also think that that's something the squad can learn from and know that they can be better about it next year when it really matters. Those really crucial games, like you got to play like it's the end all be all, because it very well could be.
I'm imagining some validating text dropping off to Saka. Yay, Saka. Well played. Yeah.
Oh, I would love to do that. Yeah.
But you've been on the inside of squads that have won, and you've been on the inside of squads that have lost. So like, how do you view it?
Momentum, and how difficult in sports it can be to gain momentum and then to fight against it when it's going against you. And with Arsenal, it was like they were against it, a bad result, then another result. And it's just like quicksand. And it's every game's a little bit tougher. Every moment seems like it's more important. People start getting inside themselves a little bit more. Decisions are bad. And it really can just go downhill really quickly.
So is there a moment or a player that you've watched this season, this Arsenal season, and taken a true memory from?
I have loved watching Odegaard. He seems like he's well respected by the squad. And so it's nice to know that there's this like solid foundation that the group can work around and have in the future as this kind of like steadfast, steadying force.
A beautiful segue, because we're going to pick up the Becky Sauerbrunn story. And from what I know, Becky Sauerbrunn was a little bit like Missouri Erdegaard. In your last year in high school, do you know how many goals you scored?
I don't know.
Do you really not know? Is this false modesty? And you really, like, when we click off, you're going to be like, no, I had 21 goals and 19 assists.
Is that the actual numbers?
Yes, they are like Sophia Smith numbers.
I mean, I knew I scored a lot of goals and I knew I assisted a decent amount. And I know that I played center back. So that should just kind of tell you the state of my high school soccer. It wasn't great.
Is there an alternate universe where going to this World Cup, you would be partnering with Alex Morgan up front?
Oh, absolutely. And I think, Vlatko knows that he can put me anywhere and I'll, put in a good shift. But he's like, we just don't need you to score goals. We need you to stop goals. And so, he put me back at center back.
Do you miss the indescribable thrill of goal scoring?
I see what the fuss is all about. It's really awesome. It feels great. But if I just have to make, the tackles and the game line clearances, like I will gladly do that as well.
God, when you do write your autobiography, multi-volume, I do hope, that chapter of your last year in high school, I hope that chapter's called Goals. I see what all the fuss is about. Going into your senior year of high school, you played a number of youth national team camps. I imagine there's a lot of interest from programs around the country, and you finally settled on the University of Virginia. Wahoo-wah.
Wahoo-wah.
How was the transition to D1 college soccer from high school fields in St. Louis to Klockner Stadium, that hallowed place with a rich, rich football tradition?
You find really quickly you can't get away with things that you got away with when you were younger on your club teams.
Like goal scoring.
Yeah, like goal scoring for me was a lot harder going into the college ranks, for sure.
In your first season, you got through to the NCAA tournament, and in the first round against William and Mary, an I-64 derby, your Cavaliers were victorious on penalties, and you told us so in extra time. You, Becky Sauerbrunn, had a chance to win it. The ball fell to you. Take us back to that moment.
I was up on a corner kick. I love when I get to get forward on the set plays, and the ball just drops right in front of me. I'm like 2 yards out, and literally if I had toe poked it anywhere but where I did, it would have gone in and we would have gone up and then not had to go through the whole stressor of penalty kicks.
But I believe it's a chance that you still dream about even now, all these years later, which I love. You have achieved so much. You've done so much. I've got so many questions. How do these dreams usually look for you? Is it like watching a replay on TV and the goal just gets further and further away every time?
Even mistakes I have never made, I have dreams about, and it just wakes me up.
That's amazing.
It's terrible. It literally like jars me awake thinking about it. And I'm like, okay, I have to be very protective of my back passes to the goalkeeper because I don't know if this is like an omen or what.
And Arsene Wenger once said to me that attackers are people in life who love to win and focus on the positive, and defenders are people who hate to lose and focus on always the worst possible outcome and preventing it.
What's so great about being an attacker is that you can be irrelevant for 89 minutes. All you need is that 2 seconds. You score a goal, you're the hero. Whereas a defender, you're perfect for 90 plus minutes. And that one back pass that gets intercepted, And now all of a sudden, you're the reason the team loses.
Spoiler alert, you lost in the very next round against Villanova. Penalties again, brutal way to go out of any tournament. But you told us a very funny story about that experience. You had to get up the very next morning, tired, still gutted, and give a presentation on the semicolon.
It was terrible. You lose and we go and do, what, college kids do. And so I get to bed super late in my dorm. I did eventually trek into my class and give a very sad presentation on how to properly use that grammatical tool.
When do I use a semicolon, and when will a comma suffice, Becky Sauerbrunn?
I would love to know if you actually think I do know this, but I do. You use a semicolon between two sentences that can stand independently, but are logically and reasonably connected.
Listen to Becky and not Rog, who just says, use a semicolon, kids, when you want to look sophisticated and cool. Your coach, Steve Swanson, first at youth national team level and then at UVA. You've said that Steve was also a big proponent of the use of film, and that he'd sit you down and show you footage of Italian defenders like Maldini and Cannavaro. My Lord, that must have been mind-blowing for a young footballer to watch them, and you could see how they read the game and look at your own footage and compare. What was that like?
I had never watched the Italian national team play anything ever. And so he had clips just at the back line, and you're just seeing how this unit is working together, stepping the lane, dropping the line, condensing space, and just how well they dictate to the attackers where they can and cannot go. And Steve basically is like blowing my mind, being like, no, you can actually dictate where the attackers go, what decisions they're going to make so that it's easier for you to read. And so to be able to see that and then to start applying that into my game, and it was like revelational, really, because so much of my game now is being proactive and figuring out, how do I run this line in a way where there's not enough space for them to run in behind, or they can't receive the ball off the front. They're only allowed to go wide. Those things make such a difference in a game, especially when you're going against amazing players like an Alex Morgan or a Sam Kerr. To learn that at that age was so important to my career.
Going into your last season at UVA, though, not an amazing time in the history of women's soccer in this nation, if we're being honest.
I was really sad, thinking like this could be my last real competitive year of soccer, because even internationally, the game hadn't been to a point where I felt like I could go overseas and actually make like a livable wage.
You were taking the field, Becky, thinking, these are my last games as a woman footballer. This is it.
Very much so. And it really, really made me sad, because I loved the game and I wanted to keep playing. I probably would have gone overseas if the WPS hadn't started, but thank goodness it started.
Where would you have gone?
Probably would have gone over to Germany, because at that point they had the most professional, but I would still say that a majority of those teams were still unpaid. A lot of those women still had full-time jobs, and they were playing in the evenings, practicing and playing games on the weekend.
How far we still have to go, but how far we have come. We know where the story goes. It ends with you in NWSL. It's been a season of wonder so far. We've seen just exclamation point goals, remarkable comebacks, even a Bella Bixby goal wonder, your Portland Thorns teammate, the great goalkeeper, Double B.
And what I love about Bella is that she just got in front of the goalkeeper, made herself this huge menace. The ball just falls perfectly to her, and she does the smartest back heel into the net that I've ever seen. What a thing to witness. I've never witnessed my goalkeeper score a goal before, so I can cross that off like my bucket list of soccer things.
I want to talk about one of your national team teammates. She back, Julie Ertz, after giving birth to her son, Madden, in August 2022. How did you find out she was returning? Take us there.
Actually, Vlaco was in town in Portland for one of our games. So whenever he's in town, we usually, grab a coffee or something at the stadium just to catch up. And he was like, oh, by the way, we're going to bring JJ back in. And I was shocked, because I hadn't really heard about JJ or from JJ for months. I was like, I didn't even know she was training. He's like, oh yeah, she's been training. She's got this great setup. We've been watching, like they're always watching. And I was like, okay. Next camp, she was great. She fit back in seamlessly. It's like she had never been gone. she hadn't lost a step. And that's pretty remarkable considering she was gone for so long, had a child. You know, she was JJ.
It was 611 days since she last took the field when she subbed in against Ireland. You ran over to her and took the captain's armband off your own arm and put it on hers. Can you tell us about that moment? What did you say to her?
It was her 100 cap celebration. Usually, you know, if you hit that milestone or 200 or 300, you get to start the game and wear the armband. Because she hadn't played in 2 years, she didn't start the game. And so I'm wearing an armband with her face on it with 100 caps written all over it. So I'm just like, yeah, this is yours. You're gonna wear it now. This is for you. You deserve it.
What is it like to play with that warrior?
When she's on the pitch, the other team basically has to play around her because the circumference and the area that she can cover and she can disrupt in her way is so big. It causes chaos. And the US team, we love that chaos. We thrive in that chaos. And so you see her come in that Ireland game and she just plays direct. You know, she wasn't playing east-west. She was going north. And all of a sudden, we're a little bit more dangerous. We're a little bit more front-footed. And the whole complexion of the game changes. And that's the effect that she can have.
Does it change the way you approach the game at all?
Obviously, as a defender, you very much have to protect the space behind you. But when you have someone that's disrupting and causing these attackers to take bigger touches to avoid her or to go long to avoid her, it's so much more easy to read and it's so much more obvious. And so you get to be a little bit more assertive and brave. I mean, it's very influential.
Another big talking point from the past month of NWSL, 18-year-old Alyssa Thompson, who just seems to score banger after banger every week. Mm-hmm. What is it that makes her such a possibly singular talent?
You would think as this young 18-year-old coming into the senior team or onto the professional level that you would play a little timid. And she's like, no, I'm going to run at you. Like her last goal, the no-look shot at a terrible angle.
Yes!
The post and goes in. You're like, who does that? I know seasoned vets who wouldn't even try that.
Just an acute angle would go, wow, that's an acute angle. In a second, she's like, yeah, fancy my chances. She seems utterly fearless.
She's being touted as this next amazing thing. The team clearly plays like to her, through her. She could feel that pressure. She could feel that weight. And right now it just doesn't seem like it bothers her at all. And I think that's lovely. And I hope it stays like that.
Last quick one. I've got to ask you this, Becky Sauerbrunn. Do you like my hat?
Oh.
It's a white baseball hat made by the mighty folks at Talisman with a Becky Sauerbrunn on it.
We fought so hard to take back our name, our image, our likeness, because we didn't feel like it was really being tapped into in the marketplace. And that hat is really a culmination of a lot of work, a lot of thought, a lot of player input. And so thank you for buying that because that's so awesome.
To you, Becky, to your health and your healing. Speak to you next month. Big, big love.
Thanks, Raj. Always a pleasure.
Courage. Subscribe here for more Men in Blazers videos and courage.